I spoke with a Toronto condo seller recently, and this is what he told me. Kevin, we're going to wait until the fall or next spring to sell. Based on where the market is heading, that decision is going to cost them anywhere between $50,000 to $75,000. Not because their condo is bad, and not because they did anything reckless, but because the market keeps moving and they didn't. And in this video, I'm going to show you why waiting for fall or next spring and holding on to 2021 prices is quietly costing Toronto condo owners big money. So this is not a panic video, and it's not a sell at all cost message either. This is the reality check, because right now, a lot of condo sellers aren't losing money because of the market. They're losing money because they're anchored to prices that no longer exist. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you why testing the market almost always backfires in a market like this, and why the first and second week decides your final sale price, and the simple pricing rule smart sellers are using to stay control instead of chasing the market down. So here's the hard truth. This is not a normal seasonal slowdown. This is not one of those spring is going to fix everything market. Toronto condos are going through a repricing phase, and seasonal logic doesn't apply when inventory is rising and buyers have options, lots of options. And the sellers who refuse to accept that reality are paying for it later, quietly. So let me give you a real example. We worked with a seller owned a downtown property with no parking. The data was very clear on where that property should trade. We tested the market because that's what they wanted to do. And the market told us immediately, this is not the price. But the seller didn't want to hear it. I'll tell you exactly how that played out in a few minutes and what it cost them. So let's start with the data. Active condo listings across the GTA is rising, especially in Toronto and downtown, where the majority of the condos are. And when inventory rises, buyer behavior changes. Buyers stop rushing. Buyers stop stretching. Buyers stop forgiving flaws. Flaws could be anything about the condition, it's missing something, views, parking. They slow down, they compare, they wait. That matters because in a market like this, pricing too high doesn't leave room for negotiation. It pushes buyers away. And here is where a lot of sellers get stuck. My neighbor sold for X in 2021, so I'm worth that. Or my neighbor sold for X at the beginning of the year, but your neighbor didn't sell in this market. They sold in a completely different environment. There's different rates, different demand, different psychology. Buyers today don't care what your building sold for 3 years ago. They care about what else they can buy right now. And here's something most sellers don't realize until it's too late. The first week, maybe the second, is everything. That's when serious buyers are watching. That's when your listing has leverage. If your price is off, even slightly, momentum dies fast. When buyers mentally file your listing under overpriced, it doesn't matter how nice it is, it becomes background noise. And here, this is where the real damage happens. Let's just test the market. You probably hear that a lot. You probably even done it yourself. That phrase sounds harmless, but in a falling or softening market, it's expensive. And we're clearly in a buyer's market right now, because while you're testing, the market's still moving down. So what happens? You list high, showings are light or zero. No offers, then you reduce the price. And usually those type of sellers, they don't reduce the prices quick enough too. They take months sometimes. But now you're not competing with other listings, you're competing with time. And buyers don't chase stale listings. They wait for bigger discounts. So for you to get their attention, you're going to have to drop your price huge. You have to do big price drops to get any attention if you're a stale listing. So let's go back to that downtown property with no parking. The data told us clearly where it should be priced. The seller wanted to hold a higher number, and I was fighting with them almost weekly on this. And a number that was based on the past. The market continued to soften, kept on coming down. And we finally started doing price reductions, small ones. And in the end, that probably sold $50,000 to almost $75,000 lower if we actually priced it correctly from the beginning. And that's where, that wasn't bad luck. That was a seller trying to catch a falling market. So the market keeps on going down like this. You can't price here. You have to price down here for it to sell. And here's the part most sellers never think about. If you're selling and buying in the same market, waiting doesn't just hurt your sale, it hurts your purchase too. So when price soften, you're not just selling for less, You're also buying for less, especially if you're buying upgrading. So the sellers who understand this moves forward. The ones who don't sit on the sidelines waiting for that bounce that never comes. So here's the pricing rule smart sellers are following right now. You price based on where buyers are today, not where you'll hope they'll be tomorrow. You don't set it and forget it either. You check in regularly. This is weekly. You watch showings, if there's any, and you watch for feedback. And feedback is not just asking the agents what they thought of a place. You look for what's going on, feedback from your agent, like what new competition you're competing with, what properties are sitting on market, what has been terminated, what have sold. And you have to adjust early, not late, because protecting momentum is more important than protecting your ego. While this market isn't punishing sellers, I'm not saying that. It's punishing hesitation. You're not taking a loss if you sell today. You're letting go of a number that only existed on paper in the past. And the longer you cling to that number, the harder it becomes to move forward. So what are the smart sellers? What are they doing now? The sharpest sellers right now aren't stuck in the past. They're looking at the facts and they're pricing strategically, which means not only are they looking at 30-day-old data, which is probably the best, but also they're looking at what they're competing with in the market. What is in the community at the same size, the same condition, same sort of maintenance fees. You have to show your value against your competitors. So that's how you price. You have to stay flexible. Because of that, these sellers, they stay control while others are chasing the market down. Because if you price correctly from the get-go, you're usually sold, even in this market, in under 3 weeks. If this video was helpful, make sure you like it and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm to show you more content like this, not just from me, but from other people doing market analysis. I break down Toronto real estate honestly, not optimistically. Make sure to check out some of my other videos if you find this one helpful. Thanks again for watching. See you soon.